Hello, everyone, and welcome to the This Is the Music Meets podcast. For episode 66 of the podcast, I'm delighted to have been joined by Monza Express, a five-piece indie band from Aberdeen in Scotland. At the time of recording this podcast, we're just a couple of days away from the release of the band's brand new single, Back of the Queue. As well as discussing the new single, we're going to talk about the band's upcoming gig at the iconic Cavern Club, as well as the band's plans for 2023. So Fraser and Sean, welcome along to episode 66 of the This Is the Music Meets podcast. How are you both doing?
Doing well, thanks. I've had a nice day off, enjoying sunshine when I should have been packing and getting ready for tomorrow.
Same.
But my kids have been sent to grandparents, so the evening is mine now.
Brilliant.
And I'll probably just open a beer and then tomorrow pack like a madman.
The best way. Leave it to the very, very end.
Yeah.
So kind of like then before we go on to talk about obviously Back of the Queue that's coming out on Friday, let's go back like right to the very beginning. So kind of like then when you were growing up, were you like quite musical in terms of like, like listening to music? And can you remember like when you first started playing like music?
I probably was quite into music, not overly so. One of my older brothers was all about the charts and top of the pops and the radio and everything, but I wasn't until a bit later. I remember going on holiday when I was about 10 to Mallorca, and it was a karaoke bar, and I got into singing then. And other than that, doing like local drama group stuff, various kind of things like panto or musicals and things. I did that kind of stuff as a little kid for a while, and then into my teenage years. And it wasn't until I was about 14 or 15. We were listening to a radio quiz, and one of the questions was, it was kind of Beatle related in some way. My mum pulled out the Blue Album on vinyl, and then one of my other brother ended up putting it on and listening to it, and I quite liked that. And then I heard the Red Album as well and liked that. And then I went on holiday to Torquay, and we watched a Beatles tribute band down there, and that was me hooked. I knew what I wanted to do then. And I managed to convince my parents to get me a guitar, a little Squire Stratocaster. And then all my friends at that time were mad about Oasis, and I managed to get tickets for that. This was like 97 at Aberdeen. And that was no turning back from there for me. That was me. I was all about music from then on.
And how about you, Sean? Is it a sort of similar sort of story there to Fraser?
Yeah, it's similar. My dad was very into music. He was maybe slightly different kind of music than what I would have than what I'm into. But I was listening to music certainly from a youngish age. When I started, developing my own kind of taste for music, I was probably maybe just going into the end of primary, into the academy. But that was kind of the era where it was quite punky with Green Day, Blink-182. So that's kind of what I grew up listening to. There was Oasis chucked in there as well, but not so much. And then I started playing the piano when I was, I think it was middle of primary school all the way up to the academy. And then when I got to the academy, I got a taste for playing the guitar, and I was kind of hooked from then. So probably about 12, 13, I started playing the guitar.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so not too dissimilar. And can you then, obviously you've mentioned there with sort of like a couple of albums, Fraser, that you sort of first got, listened to in particular. So can you then maybe remember like the first single or maybe an album that you purchased?
First single I think I bought with my own money was Shakademus and Pliers doing Twist and Shout.
Right, wow.
that was when I was in primary 7. So I remember getting that. I still remember the cover for it vividly as well.
And how about you, Sean?
I'm just trying to rack my brains what I would have bought. I do. Oh, I tell you what. Do you know what I bought? I got a lot of at Christmas time, and I think I might have bought was when the now albums were
Yeah,
coming. I think that's probably maybe the first what I bought. I think.
yeah.
I think.
Remember
Which
which now
which
it was?
I was just thinking that I can't remember which one it was. No, I wouldn't like to say. I wouldn't. I couldn't. No, I'd be lying.
No, it's quite nice, isn't it, to sort of like, reflect back and have a little look and see whether or not if the if there's anything like, sometimes get some embarrassing ones, don't you, in there that you sort of think, oh, I wish I'd never got that now. But seems like that you boys were pretty,
Oh,
all
I'd
right
have
by
got
the
a
sounds of it.
raft of singles around, and probably like every week I'd end up in Woolworths and pick up something, and there's some terrible ones in there as well, no doubt.
Aqua, Barbie Girl.
No, I never got that one actually. My pocket money had probably been taken off me that week, so I didn't get
It was me.
Brilliant. So obviously, Monza Express formed in 2017. So kind of like, how then did that happen? Were you like friends at maybe like college or something like that? Or
Yeah.
how did it work out?
Well, I first met. I used to work offshore on the rigs in Aberdeen.
Mm.
And the first time I met Sean, he actually came out there as my boss, fresh out of the box,
Right. Wow.
which didn't last very long as my boss because he was kind of sold the wrong job. But so I'd met him then, and we'd just been chatting because we were both in bands way back. And I think if I remember right, Sean, was there not like a vague "Do I know you" kind of thing when we
Yeah,
first met?
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
because we moved in similar circles with the
Mm.
local scene. So we've been in bands. Then that band, my first band, split up in like 2008. I took a few years off, and then I ended up in another band. And when that split up, that was in 2017. By which point I was working onshore, sat next to Sean in the office, and it was just me and Deco, the drummer of our previous band. Two of the guys had left; we both moved away from town, and we were a bit don't want to stop doing tunes. We're like
Yeah.
something to do through the week, so we had a jam session with. He had a visitor to his work who was over from India who wanted to just play some. He said he wanted to play British music with a British band, so there was the three of us and Chris, our keyboard player. I invited him along because I was friends with him through mutual friends for a couple of years, and we just played like we played some like Eagles songs and random things. I wasn't singing this 6'8" Indian was singing all these songs. That was
Oh,
just
wow.
for a laugh. But then once it was finished, we are like, that was quite fun. We do something next week. So it was me, Deco on drums, and I'd said to Chris, "You fancy coming along again?" He was like, "Yeah." So well, we get extra folk, and I thought, well, I'll ask Sean because sitting next to him at work, we were always chatting about music most of the time,
Oh,
whether it was bands we'd been in or just what we were listening to, what we had listened to. And then Greg, the bass player, was the bass player in my first band, who knew Deco from them working together at some
Right.
point
Okay. Yeah.
in the past, in the messy Argos stock room of Aberdeen. Which, if you got enough of those people for a chat, you'd get a podcast series, I think, from Stories Year. So the next week we just decided to meet up there, and we were only playing just covering songs. Just that someone would come with a random fancy playing this tonight, and we would, and then we'd do that, and that went on for a good bit of time. I mean, we say we formed in 2017. We were all turning up then, but we weren't actually. But we weren't booked under a name or anything. We were
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
turning up and playing covers just for something to do. There was no grand plan at that stage. It wasn't until we started playing tunes we'd written previously for old bands, having all been in bands before, and then eventually we started like, our own stuff. New stuff started creeping because everyone was getting the bug again.
Yeah.
I don't know if Sean's got anything to add. I can overtake that.
that up. Absolutely spot on. That's to a T.
So kind of like then, obviously you've just mentioned there that obviously that the name obviously wasn't under Monza Express at that sort of moment in time. So kind of like, first of all, then when did that happen? And then kind of like as well, what was like the inspiration for the band name?
Of when we decided we needed a name to start doing stuff, we're like, oh, we should, because we've been writing stuff and singing by playing it. And we're like, we'll maybe start thinking about a gig, but we need to get a name first and like set up like the social media and everything. And we had weeks and weeks trying to think of a name.
It was a long, drawn out process.
It
To
was
even
horrendous.
at one point, we all had to come to practice with some names that we liked. We had a bit of paper on the wall. We all wrote down our suggestions, and then we kind of. What did we do, Fraser? We were allowed
We did
to.
like a vote. We turned it like a tournament thing. It was like, right, you vote your winner out of this one, because you had to pick. Like you could have as many on a list as you wanted, but you could only pick 3 of them to go into the tournament, and you had to pick one from somebody else's.
Right. Okay.
But what's this about this whole thing is what we ended up finishing.
Our final one, everyone looked at each other a bit like, nah, we don't want that. And then
what was it?
The Sherbet Club, I think it was.
Sherbet Club.
I think that was like a piss take name I'd chucked in it. So I think I'd seen it somewhere.
Yeah.
Something daft. I can't remember what it was, but where I'd seen it. But we thought, well, we'll go with that. And then we're like, none of us were really feeling it. And then when we were leaving the rehearsal space, we went to the reception there. We said to the guy, what do you think of this for a name? And he was a bit like, nah. What other names have you got? And we told him, and he was a bit, that's all right, I suppose. And so we're a bit like, nah, we're back to the drawing board. And then me and Sean are back at work, and we were reading a bit of corporate press because we work in marine logistics with the vessels going to offshore. One of the corporate press from them, and it had just basic bits about their various boats and stories about them, like safety records and things. But we've turned a page, and there was one that said Monza Express makes music, and it was about a car carrying vessel in the Mediterranean, and they'd installed a music room for the crew, so there was all guitars and everything. But
wow,
that's not a bad idea. And it's not even called that anymore. The vessel of Monza Express doesn't even exist now, so it's all up.
I got on there and done a video or something.
Yeah, so we were like, I will go with that. And I think Deco's response when we suggested it was, that's quite a cool name. Are we cool enough for that? Then I just went, nah, sod it, that's it. So that's the lead singer pulling rank. But no, lead singer and rhythm guitar. I get 2 votes, I win.
Well, you got to exercise that vote at some point, as you say. So yeah, why not? So
we could have still been looking for a name now if I hadn't just went with that.
The band with no name could have been in the running by the sounds of it, maybe.
Yeah.
So obviously, Back of the Queue is due for release this Friday, the 2nd of June. How excited are you? Obviously, it's the first single of 2023. So sort of how excited are you to be releasing new music for the first time this year?
Yeah, I think it's been a long time coming. I think we're all quite excited that we've managed to, because you see a lot of bands are getting quite, they'll get maybe 2, 3, maybe even 4 tunes out. But just with COVID and other commitments, this one's, it's been on the cards for a while. Maybe took us a bit longer than maybe what we would have liked, but no, we're all really, really quite excited to get this out.
It took longer than we wanted to get it recorded because we were booked into the studio, and the night before we were due to go there, we'd just come off stage. Again, got a message from the guy saying, "Oh, I'm feeling horrendous, can't do you this weekend." And then it was, we need to find another guy. And I think we got lucky, and it was just short of 3 months. We had a free weekend, and he had a free weekend, and we could fit it in.
Wow.
So, and thankfully, this time the mixing took a bit, but the mastering is a bit quicker. But we've had previous ones where it's just been an ongoing saga for God knows how long.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good to be finally getting out, because I think initially I was like, I want to release in, I think I initially said March, and then because we didn't record till the end of January, it's like, right, April, it's going out in April. It kept slipping out. We were right when the Cavern Gig was announced, right, we'll tie it in with that. There's our target, just get it out.
Yeah,
So
well,
it's
the label that we've signed on to, the guy there, he kind of pushed it to that date as well, didn't he, Fraser? Because he was like, no, let's do it around, you know, this gig and get a bit of hype.
yeah.
Certainly.
It's good just to be releasing something saying, hi, we're still here, we're back. It's like Sean says, it's been a long time.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think, and it does make sense, I guess, as well, to try and tie it in with the Cavern as well. But just before we go on to talk about that, just on the back of the queue, kind of like, what is there like a theme or a message at all within the song as to like what what's the song is about?
What's the message?
Yeah.
I think I kind of, while I was writing it, I spent a lot of time thinking about my kids. I was doing it because like the line about strawberry juice on my shoulder was about one of my daughters when she was tiny and she was making a complete mess of eating her dinner. She was eating, I think it might have actually been blueberries she was eating, but strawberries seemed to fit better with it. And I was wearing a white t-shirt and I just ended up with this massive handprint all over it. I've got strawberry juice on my shoulder. I might use that eventually. So a couple of years later I did. But I don't know if I don't even know if the lyrics even translates, but my thought process during it was just a bit, yeah, sometimes you've got to change your priorities and realize other people have changed their priorities and you're not number one anymore for them. And just like accepting things change around you. You can't help it. You're going to get older. Everyone else is. They say buildings all change. Just places and all that. It's kind of just a bit about that.
Yeah, sure. Well, I think obviously I've been very fortunate to hear it, and I personally think it's a fantastic song, and I think that it's going to get a great reception and reaction as well come Friday. But you've obviously also, well, within the band, you've got 3 songwriters. I think I'm right in saying. So kind of like then, what in terms of getting songs heard, what's sort of like the dynamic and sort of having it, songs recorded? How do you make that decision? And in terms of, for the songwriters, is it very much a case of, right, this is the song and you're going to play it like this is the idea, or is it very much a case of, yeah, I've got the lyrics and this is the guitar part, but everyone else is then allowed to sort of contribute their own parts to the song? How does it work?
I'll quite often, when I'm writing one, I tend to, there'll be a long gap between them, but then when I get one, it's bang and it's done. And I'll do the usual, the little phone demo, playing it, send it to everybody. And then it goes in and it just morphs completely because everyone will go, well, like Sean will go, oh, can I play like this on it? And Chris will be, oh, we could do this with it. And Greg's like, well, what do you want me to do on bass? And I'll give him a tiny brief and then off he goes. And everyone brings their own stuff to the party, so to speak, with it, which is great. And that's kind of why they don't, if you were just taking the initial acoustic demos of all my stuff, you could probably go, that's all really similar to each other. But when everyone else is throwing their stuff in, it morphs it away from that a bit. Like, stops the inbreeding and filters out the dodgy bits and gets in it better. Chris, he'll kind of do similar. He'll do his own little bit and then it comes in and it gets chopped and changed because he comes up with mental structures and everything that give everybody headaches. But once it clicks, it can be pretty amazing to hear.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's like, nah, you're gonna have to dumb it down. I can't play it like that. I can't sing it like that. And Sean, his main contribution is he'll be sitting at home just pissing about on his guitar, and I'd say, "Oh, I've got this riff." He'll come in, play it, and everyone's like, "What's that?" "No, it's just something I came up with." And then it's
Happens.
normally Chris will then take it, cut
Yeah.
it to bits, and go, "Right, so that's this chord, that's this chord here, that's this chord here, that's it," and then off he goes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. And is it then kind of like, in terms of actually like either recording or releasing the songs, is it sort of quite a straightforward process, or is there like how you was describing with the band name situation? Is it very much a case of, almost sort of like pulling it out of a hat, but not doing it like that, if that makes sense?
I don't know. What
No,
do you think?
I think we generally just go with what's sounding good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're playing it, and Sean, you said pretty early on with Back of the Queue, that's the next single, didn't you?
Oh, I knew straight away. It was so us. It was very, it's indie. It's got an old vibe, which we've kind of got about. It was, yeah. I just felt when Fraser came with that, I was like, this is good. I think this will be the next one.
Yeah, sure. So sort of, yeah, okay. So kind of like then, maybe for people that haven't heard Monza Express yet, how would you describe your sound in 3 words?
Indie pop and roll.
Yeah.
Liking it, like that. Very good, very straight to the point as well. So kind of like then, obviously, as we said there, the new single is out on Friday. So apart from listening to that track, what would you recommend is like the one song that would kind of like be like an entry point for someone listening to Monza Express for the very first time?
Is this including the new single? Sorry.
Sorry, excluding, or in addition to the new single, sorry.
Um,
My choice would be Lady Bell.
yeah, I was going to say probably Lady Bell. Yeah, that probably is a good idea of what we're about.
Yeah, well, it's obviously the previous single, fantastic song, and I think actually it was my own personal sort of entry point, so to speak, into the band. So great choice. So let's have a little talk then about gigs. So before we go on to the talking about the Cavern Club, I really wanted to get your thoughts on Mike Kurt of Royal Blood. Obviously labeling the crowd pathetic, didn't he? At the Radio 1 big weekender in Dundee last weekend. So kind of like, did you feel that he was justified in saying and acting in the way that he did, or was he, way off point?
I don't think he's justified in the
No,
slightest with it.
no way. I mean, there could have been. There could have been. In fact, there will have been loads of people there who are probably just standing at the main stage waiting for who they want to see, and then Royal Blood comes on. So there was going to be a lot of people there that maybe weren't into them and didn't know who they were. But that was his platform. That was his opportunity to show them
Yeah.
what him to then go and make such a fuss and then walk off stage with his fingers up. He was.
You could understand him being dickish if they were booing him or chucking piss at him or something, but
Yeah,
they were just. I mean, I didn't watch it. The only clips I've seen is his rant, but
Yeah.
even while he's doing that, you can still hear people trying to cheer,
yeah.
and he's not going, "Yeah, this one's for you guys that are cheering" or anything. He's just like, "Oh no, I'll clap because you won't clap." Fuck off.
No, I actually think if you, I think
Entitled is a small word for it. The way he was acting.
the drummer looked confused to me at one point because when he walked off, the drummer was there, almost like like telling people to smile. He was like,
yeah.
he was like, yeah. I wonder if there's going to be an argument between the two of them when they both get backstage.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a bit strange, I think, wasn't it? And I would have. I mean, I don't listen to Radio 1, so I don't know what they're listening. What music they particularly play, but I'd imagine it's what's in the chart. And surely whoever booked the gig before Royal Blood or even the band themselves would have been aware the type of
Yeah, well,
crowd, that they're
that
going
was
to be
what I
playing in
read.
front of,
Someone saying that they took the gig knowing, and they'd have seen the lineup, knowing who's there. So what are they expecting?
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to get normal Royal Blood Royal Blood audience, but hey, it's a good opportunity, I think, for in terms of exposure. But maybe
100%.
as everyone says, there's nothing like bad press. Good, all press is good press, or whatever the saying is. But I think that they've probably turned off.
He's massive shot himself in the foot a bit. I think with a lot of people for that.
Yeah,
I know. I'm a fan of Royal Blood, and I did think he was being a bit of a dick.
Definitely. So obviously you guys you're going to be playing the iconic Cavern Club on Thursday evening, rolling into Friday. So kind of like, then, how excited are you to be playing such an iconic venue?
Honestly, can't wait. It's one of those. 15-year-old me is still going mental about it because, and then current age me, I'll leave out what it is. I'm a bit like, I genuinely thought the chance for something like this had long since gone. It was never going to happen. So to get the chance was just, it was when we were recording Back of the Queue. I got home from the studio and I'd seen another band from Aberdeen, the Vapor Trails. They were playing the International Pop Overthrow and had played it last year. So I just thought, I'll go have a look and see if we can register for it. And there was nothing on the site. So I messaged the guy on Facebook, the International Pop Overthrow page, and just said, is there a way to register so we could maybe play next year? And he replied saying, oh, where can I hear your stuff? And I said, oh, just been in the studio. I've got the rough mixes now if you want to hear them. And then I was waiting on a reply and there was nothing. Then a bit later it pinged, says, oh, I've just listened to your stuff on Spotify. Would love to have you down. I was like, shit. I sent the group a message the next morning saying, might be getting asked for a festival in June. Everyone keep it free. I didn't want to say anything in case it didn't happen. And then it was, and eventually it's sort of like, it's the Cavern for this thing. And then we were all so quiet about it. I think we'd maybe told wives and that was it. No one else was getting to hear about it because we've had our fingers burned before when we were like, oh, we're going to be doing this and it's something quite good. And then it all falls to shit and nothing happens. So like, everyone quiet. Just wait till it's confirmed. Wait till it's confirmed. And it was like, yes, we're playing the fucking Cavern. And it was nice.
Brilliant.
It's
and
a proper bucket list moment.
yeah,
Can't wait for it.
Yeah, and is that the same for you as well, Sean? In terms of like as Fraser just said, there a bucket list moment.
Oh yeah, definitely. Everybody's heard of the Cavern Club. I'm speaking to people, like they've seen obviously the posts on Facebook, and they've come up and saying, "Oh my God, I see that you're playing the Cavern." It's just I can't wait. I'm absolutely buzzing. I know the guys are as well. Can't wait.
Great stuff. Well, it sounds like can hear how excited you are. So yeah, from myself, like, yeah, good luck with it. I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing a few clips and stuff across the socials. But kind of like as well, just staying with gigs. Have you got any memories at all of any good or bad gigs that Monza Express have done that you can share with us?
I would personally, I don't know if Fraser would agree. I think my favourite gig that we've played, we supported. I don't know if you've heard of a band from Fife called Shambolics.
Yeah, go back quite a way with Shambolics. Absolutely love them.
So we've seemed to have struck up quite a decent relationship with them. But I think we've played with them twice. But there was one of them that they brought. Like we managed to get a decent enough crowd in, but we saw the the venue that we've played quite a lot, Cafe Drummond's, there was people queuing out the door. There was the crowd barrier. It was absolutely buzzing. It was that's been my favorite one that we've played so far. We have played others. We're fortunate enough to play like the Beach Ballroom, which is a bigger venue. The Beatles have actually played there as well. I don't know. There was just a buzz about this particular gig with Shambolics at Cafe Drummond.
That Shambolics one was magic. It was the first one out of lockdown.
Yeah.
So I can't remember how long gigs had been allowed again, but it was seen as a very big deal. It was, I think I could be wrong, but I think it was definitely one of the first sellouts in Aberdeen after the lockdown restrictions had lifted. Because it was like September 21 or something. Yeah, it was such a good night. And we played pretty fucking well as well on the night as well. It wasn't just it's great because of it's busy and everything. We actually did play really well. It was kind of like everyone's back and the whole place was just bouncing with it. We've had a few good gigs. We've had ones where things felt like we were in this sense and that was better than the last one. That was better. We played really well. We've had some howlers as well, like anybody has. There's been a couple of times where someone's had a bit too many before we've went on and they've arsed it up. I think we've all took a turn with that. We've had ones where the venue's practically empty and you're expecting more and everything.
Yeah.
I mean I think everyone in an indie band has had those kind of nights.
Play to the bar staff.
Yeah, play to the bar staff. The other bands haven't even bothered to watch.
Yeah, I like that one always makes me a little bit confused, to be honest. Bands not watching other bands, but hey, we're all here to support each other in my view. But yeah, that's a strange one to me. So, kind of like as well, what's your favourite Monza Express song to play live?
One that's 75 seconds long that we usually put in called My Band. That's my favourite anyway.
My band's fun. What do I like playing live? There's quite a few I like to play live. There's one called Picture House we sometimes do, and it's one where when everything goes right, I think it's out of this world sound, and it's one that Chris wrote. I think he said he wrote it in like the 90s or something. What's that?
I'm saying he didn't make it very hard for me. It was very technical for me.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculously fiddly for Sean, but like I say, it's one of those when everybody times everything right, it's absolutely brilliant, I think, and it's great fun. I love playing Lady Bell. You're not supposed to pick favorite kids, but Lady Bell's mine.
That is very true. You're not. If you had a musical time machine, what era of music would you like to be transported back to, and why?
I'm heading to the 60s to watch the Beatles, and I'm not coming back. I'll go to like 1963. In fact, no, I want to go back further. I want to go to Hamburg with them as well.
Yeah,
and watch all of that. So I'll go to like 1960 or 61. Watch them in Hamburg, then the Cavern, then back to Hamburg, and then just follow them around as they get bigger and bigger. And then like they do Shea Stadium in 65 and 66. Now when they stop touring, I'll go hang out with the Monkeys for a bit.
Sounds brilliant. Sounds great.
And then I'll head along to Savile Row for the rooftop concert. I don't know what I'm going to do after that, but I'll find something.
And how about you, Sean?
So I have not got as good a knowledge of the 60s and 70s as Fraser does, and I do sometimes hear it.
He will tomorrow after the drive. He's got 6 hours in a car with me. I'm picking the tunes. I
maybe would follow Fraser just to get a bit more of an idea of what it was all about. There you go.
Well, it's a great two great choices there. I don't think there'll be many people disagreeing with you, to be honest. So kind of like, as you know, here at This Is the Music, we like to shine a light on up and coming bands like Monza Express that are, you know, trying to establish their way on the new music scene. So kind of like over sort of like the last 12 months or so, what sort of bands or solo artists have you been listening to that have caught your eye?
What, like unsigned bands and artists?
Yeah, mainly unsigned bands. Yeah,
Yeah. I like
Mm.
Box of Trash. They released their album, was it last year or this year? I can't even remember now. But I've listened to
yeah,
that a lot. I've struck up a bit of a friendship with those guys.
yeah,
So that's really good. Like Sean's already said, we love shambolic stuff.
yeah,
Absolutely
Yeah.
love it. And you know yourself, they're brand new guys to speak to and everything.
yeah,
Yeah.
Um,
There's we were fortunate enough to be part of a compilation album of was it all unsigned?
yeah.
Maybe not all. Oh,
yeah,
certainly bands. And there's one on there. They had a track first on the album, Spires.
yeah.
Listen to some of this. I don't know if you've ever had a chat with them. They're decent. Very, very good.
Yeah, no, I haven't had a chat yet, but yeah, maybe I'll have to point myself in their direction at some point.
Yeah.
And just sorry, just going back as well, shout out as well to Colin, obviously Box of Trash new manager
Yeah.
as well, and he's obviously doing great things with those guys as well. So obviously spoken a little bit about the immediate plans with Monza Express this year. Obviously back of the queue coming out on Friday, and obviously the Cavern Club on Thursday evening. But kind of like then, what are the rest of the plans for 2023?
Plan is we've got another single will come out by the end of the year. The first time we've released two in a year, which is a nice jump off for us. It's all recorded and mixed and mastered. It just needs the other bits done. So once this one's out and everything is done what it needs to do, we'll start looking at that. So probably towards tail end of the year. There's a few gigs coming up in Aberdeen we're currently working on. Still not been able to announce anything yet, but they are there. And there's a Glasgow debut in the works as well.
Wow, brilliant. Well, obviously sounds like it's going to be a really exciting couple of months looking ahead for you boys. But Fraser and Sean, that is the end of the This Is the Music Meets podcast. Thank you both very much for coming on and sharing the Monza Express story. I've really enjoyed it. But before we let you go, can you just let the listeners know what social media platforms they can find Monza Express on?
On you go, Sean.
Yeah. All right. You can find us we're on Facebook, we are on Instagram, and we are on Twitter. And I think Fraser has even got us on TikTok.
He has, yes. There's the odd little gem pops up on there at weekends.
Yeah. So
there's a YouTube channel as well.
Yeah, they're all monitored actively by at least Fraser. So yeah, you can catch us on all of them.
Brilliant, great stuff, and we will include those links in the episode bio along as well with the because you're on Spotify and obviously and Apple Music as well. Back of the Queue is released on Friday the 2nd of June and is going to be available on all streaming and download platforms. Monza Express, thanks again for coming on the This Is the Music Meets podcast. Wish you all the best of luck in the world with the single release on Friday and obviously the gig on Thursday at the Cavern. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much for having us. Cheers. Been great.
Cheers for that.
All that leaves me to say is to thank everyone for listening to the latest This Is the Music Meets podcast. Please subscribe so you never miss out on any brand new episodes. And if you're loving the podcast, then please show us some love by giving us a 5-star rating and written review, as it really does help the artists we interview to be discovered. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you again very soon.